What if Bumblebee joined the Decepticons? Forget the slow, sad version where he gets corrupted over 6 movies. Start at the actual beginning. Start at Tyger Pax. Megatron has him pinned, one hand around his throat, the AllSpark already gone, launched into deep space where even Megatron can't follow it. And Megatron is furious, the specific kind of furious that ends with someone losing a body part. You talk too much, Autobot. B always had something smart to fire back. That was the whole personality. But this time, he's looking up at the warlord who's about to rip his voice out by the root, and he does the math no Autobot is supposed to do. He weighs dying for a cube he already threw away against living, and he says yes. Here's why it actually works. The AllSpark is the only reason Optimus ever sets foot on Earth. No launch means no scavenger hunt across a desert planet, so Megatron just collects the cube at home, on Cybertron, with his newest recruit standing right behind him. Optimus never assembles a team, never traces a signal to some backwater rock crawling with humans. Sam Witwicky inherits a dead explorer's glasses, and that's all they ever are. A cracked pair of glasses with no map etched into the lens. There's no Sector 7 raid to bust B out of, because B was never captured, because B was never on our side. Nest never forms. Mission City stays a city. The battle that launched an entire franchise never gets a single soldier to show up for it. And then Megatron does the one thing nobody sees coming. He rebuilds the voice box. Doesn't crush it, rebuilds it, hands B a real voice for the first time in his life. A perfect one. The first thing Bumblebee does with that brand new voice is roll up the driveway of a quiet house in suburban America and play Drive by the Cars through his speakers. The same song he once used to nudge Sam toward Michaela in a timeline that doesn't exist anymore. Except now it isn't matchmaking, it's a countdown. That radio was never a quirk. It was never the charming little gimmick everyone laughed at. It was a leash the entire time, and the only thing that changed is whose hand is on the other end. That's Bumblebee broken with a Decepticon's fist around his throat. But the cartoon gave us a version who needed no fist at all. He walked off the team completely on his own. What if G1 Bumblebee just walked off the team? He almost did. After the hate plague nearly cooked his processor, the Autobots rebuild him into Goldbug, a sleeker, prouder upgrade who's done being the runt. He ends up leading the Throttlebots, a squad that spends half its existence getting hunted, not by Decepticons, but by a paranoid human task force that decides every robot is a threat worth shooting. So picture it. The smallest Autobot finally gets a new body, a new name, a command of his own, and what he gets in return is his own side's allies pointing guns at him. In the comics, he handles that by going independent. Flip it 1 degree, and he doesn't go independent. He goes red-eyed. Goldbug walks straight to Megatron and brings a gift, everything he knows about the Witwickies. And he knows everything, because Bumblebee was the one bot assigned to live in their house, eat dinner at their table, learn the name of every human Optimus ever cared about. Megatron grabs Spike. Then he doesn't just hold him for ransom, he walks Spike right back into the Ark as a living key, because the Autobots will never fire on the kid Bumblebee swore to protect. The oil-melting scheme in the Mato Grosso, the one that failed every single time, finally goes off without a hitch, because this time the Autobots are too busy trying to save a human to stop it. And the part that lands like a punch is the handoff itself. Bumblebee, the unit built for one job, babysitting one human boy, personally delivers that boy to Megatron's feet and doesn't blink. The Autobot spent 40 years calling him the kid brother, the harmless one, the mascot. Turns out the harmless one had a key to every door in the house. That Bumblebee took a whole war to wear down. But 2024 gave us a version who barely got a day, and on that day, the better friend wasn't Optimus. What if B-127 followed D-16 down into the pit instead of climbing back out with Orion? Here's the part everyone skips when they talk about Transformers 1. Look at the 4 friends and ask who actually has a reason to hate Sentinel Prime. Orion's a dreamer who got lied to. Alita runs a crew and has pride on the line. D-16 worships the Primes and just learned his whole faith was built on a murder. And then there's B-127, who didn't lose an illusion or a hero. He lost everything. He was a cogless reject living in the lower levels, talking to imaginary friends he built out of scrap because nobody real would stay. Sentinel's lie is the reason none of them ever got a transformation cog, the reason B was nobody for his entire life. That is the exact injustice D-16 is about to start avenging, and B feels it in his frame harder than any of them. So at the chasm, when D-16 takes Sentinel down and turns on Orion, watch it through B's eyes. He doesn't see a friend becoming a monster. He sees the one bot in the room who finally stopped asking permission to be angry. And when Orion drags himself out of the well of AllSparks reborn as Optimus Prime, ready to lead, there's no scout waiting for him. No goofy sidekick. No, let's roll out. Just a former garbage worker wearing a fresh Decepticon badge, looking at Optimus like he's a stranger reading from a script nobody asked for. D-16 becomes Megatron, and Megatron names his first lieutenant. Not Starscream, not Soundwave. The little one. The one Sentinel threw away. the one with nothing left to be loyal to except the bot who told him his rage was justified. And the twist is buried in the credits. That sweet little gag where B discovers he can pop laser blades out of his hands and giggles about it, run it again in this version. He finds out he can kill, and he likes it. Sentinel Prime stood in front of an entire city and told them B-127 was nobody. The Decepticons are the only ones who ever bothered to prove him wrong. The director said this movie was Cain and Abel to him. So go ahead and decide which brother is Cain, because there's a version of B who never even gets to choose a side. He just forgets he ever had one. What if Shatter got into his head before Charlie ever could? He shows up on Earth already wrecked. Voice torn out by Blitzwing, memory core scrambled, a soldier with no idea which war he's fighting. In the movie, the Decepticon hunters Shatter and Dropkick dig up Optimus's old message by accident and tip their hand. So don't let it be an accident. Let them find that message first and paint over it. They sit a blank slate B-127 down and tell him the calm, reasonable lie. Optimus is the war criminal. The Autobots burned Cybertron, and the two bots standing over him are the only family he has left. Charlie still finds him rusting in that junkyard. She still jumpstarts him, still names him, still spends her summer rebuilding a friend. He just doesn't recognize a single second of it. And when the moment comes, he hands Shatter the Sector 7 satellite uplink himself. No fight, no hesitation. The full Decepticon fleet drops onto Earth in 1987, 20 years before the cavalry was ever supposed to arrive. The last thing Charlie ever hears from him is the song she gave him, Big Mouth Strikes Again, playing out of every radio in California at the exact same moment. Not a goodbye. A broadcast. A teenage girl spent an entire summer rebuilding the soldier who armed the invasion, and she went to her grave never knowing it. That's a mind rewritten from the outside. But Prime let Megatron do it from the inside, and the part he left behind never really left. What if the cortical psychic patch left a piece of Megatron behind? It almost did. In Prime, Megatron jacks straight into Bumblebee's head through the patch and takes the wheel. He drives Bee's body against Ratchet, against Raph, uses his hands to dig up Dark Energon and crawl one step closer to a new body. The show lets Bee shake it loose clean. No scars, all better by the next episode. Don't let it heal. Leave a splinter in there, quiet and patient, waiting for the one moment it matters. It matters at the Omega Lock. When the cyber keys are in play and Earth's fate is sitting on a knife's edge, the splinter wakes up. B gives away the key locations before Optimus can destroy the lock. Earth gets cyber-formed. Jack, Miko, and Raph are caught in the first wave that doesn't get to survive it. There's no Starsaber, no Deadlock, no version of this where Megatron ever lives long enough to be sorry for any of it. And the cruelest part is the gift. The Omega Lock pours new life into B and finally gives him his voice back, exactly like it does in the real ending. Except the voice coming out of him now is Megatron's, narrating the death of the planet to a 12-year-old who used to call him his best friend. Every other timeline treated B's silence like a wound. This one figured out it was a door. That door took force. Animated handed us a B who walked through it on his own, and nobody had to trick him. What if Animated B joined them out of guilt? This one needs the backstory, because Animated B carries a sin the other versions don't. Back in boot camp, he was a loudmouth washout with one classmate he couldn't stand, a green bot named Wasp. When the elite guard started hunting a Decepticon spy in their ranks, Bumblebee pointed the finger at Wasp. Confident, public, and completely wrong. Wasp got branded a traitor and locked away, all on the word of Longarm Prime, the squeaky clean officer who was secretly shockwaved the entire time. The real spy got B a promotion for catching the wrong bot. Then Wasp breaks out, half mad, and gets twisted into the broken, buzzing thing called Waspinator. And the truth finally surfaces. B didn't catch a spy. He fed an innocent friend to one. Now imagine carrying that. So B defects, and not for power, not because he was tricked. For penance. He brings Megatron the Elite Guard access codes and Ultra Magnus's command files like a confession laid at the wrong altar. The Decepticons take Detroit. Sorry, Sumdac gets captured. And Optimus's crew spends the rest of the war running from the scout who used to watch their backs. The bitter joke is who comes for him. Out of everyone, the one bot who tries to drag Bumblebee back from the edge is Waspinator, the wreck he created. Wasp, forgive you. And B can't take it because forgiveness was never the thing he was chasing. Joining the Decepticons was never the real mistake. The mistake was believing it could ever balance what he did to Wasp. Animated B had to be argued into the dark. Cyberverse barely had to ask because that B was already a fan. What if pre-war B never flinched? This is the easy one because Cyberverse already did most of the work. Before the war, Bumblebee was a Megatron mark. He cheered him on at the gladiator pits in Iacon, bought into the cause back when it still sounded like a revolution worth having. He was one decision away the entire time, so let him make it. He throws in with Megatron early instead of just cheering from the stands. He never boards the arc. which means Windblade lands on Earth hunting for a scout who was never sent. The Allspark falls with no Tyger Pax to slow it down, and Optimus dies on a Cybertron he never escapes. Then comes the knife. Windblade is the one who rebuilds Bee's lost memories, piece by piece, just like the show. And when she reaches the gap she was missing, she finds out it was never trauma hiding in there. It was loyalty. Cyberverse wrote almost this whole episode already. All we cut was the half-second where he hesitated. That one needed no war at all. EarthSpark needed even less. Just a long assignment that came back wrong. What if the deep cover assignment broke the wrong way? After the war winds down, Optimus needs eyes inside what's left of the Decepticon cells, and he sends the bot nobody would ever suspect. Bee goes under for years, long enough to forget which face is the mask. Then he comes home, joins the Malto family, and starts mentoring Twitch and Thrash, the first two Cybertronians ever born on Earth. He looks exactly like the Bee everyone remembers. He isn't one anymore, because the Terrans are newborns. Their entire sense of right and wrong gets shaped in the first few weeks of their lives by the bot they trust the most. So the Malto house, the warmest place in the whole franchise, quietly turns into a forward base. Two brand new sparks get raised pointing the wrong direction. And Mandroid, the human zealot who hates every Cybertronian alive, ends up being the closest thing to a resistance anyone has left, which tells you exactly how upside down it's all gotten. There's a kid named Alex who idolizes Bee, follows him around, hangs on every word. So, when Alex finally figures out what Bee actually is, Bee has to decide what a scout does with a child who knows too much. EarthSpark sold you a show about found family. In this version, the family was the cover story all along. Every one of these has been a what if, except one because the franchise already built the evil one, boxed him up, and sold him to you. What if I told you Decepticon Bumblebee was never a what if at all? There's a corner of this franchise called Shattered Glass, a mirror universe where everything is flipped, where the Autobots are the tyrants and the Decepticons are the ones fighting to be free. And in that world, the Bumblebee you grew up loving doesn't exist. There's a bot named Goldbug instead. Same chassis, completely different spark. Before the war, he wasn't a wide-eyed scout. He was a polyhex street rat, a pickpocket and a blackmailer, a survivor who'd sell out anyone to stay breathing. Then Emperor Optimus put a weapon in his hands and pointed him at the people fighting back. And here's the part that should bother you, because none of it is theory. It's on the page. Goldbug's kill list reads like a roll call of bots, Skywarp, Bombshell, Kickback, Ransack, Scrapnel, Venom, and Starscream, whose spark he tore out personally. Ask him about the heroic Optimus of that world, the good one, the one trying to save everybody, and Goldbug will smile and tell you he's the one who hurled him into open space. This is the franchise's beloved little mascot, and somebody already wrote down exactly how many bodies he's good for. Now read his official bio, and the trait that jumps out isn't cruelty, it's fear. Goldbug is paranoid, terrified deep down that he isn't valued, certain he's about to be replaced. So in the one universe where the villains actually won, the most beloved Autobot of all time curdled into the most disposable bot alive, killing his way down a list just to prove he still mattered. And the strangest part, you could have owned him. Hasbro released Shattered Glass Goldbug back in December of 2021, packaged with the comic that spells out everything he did. The answer to what if Bumblebee turned wasn't a fan theory. It was an action figure, sitting in a box, waiting for somebody to ask the question. 9 timelines. 9 different ways to flip the same little scout. And in every single one of them, the first thing that changed was his voice. So that's 9 ways to break him, and the voice was the tell every time. Megatron rebuilt it, the Omega Lock poisoned it, Charlie's gift got turned into a battle cry. The franchise spent 40 years making Bumblebee the safe one, the one you hand to the kids, and it turns out the safe one had a switch the whole time. The fandom even has a name for the flip. They call it Decepticons. So tell me which timeline broke him the worst. The one where he forgot who he was, the one where he chose with both eyes open, or the one that was sitting on a toy shelf the entire time? Fight about it down in the comments. Be honest, you were going to anyway. And if a turned Bumblebee got under your skin, wait until it's Optimus Prime who falls. That lesson's already up on the channel. Go watch it before Sentinel files it away for good.